Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This block is called Flying Geese, and it's 12-inch finished. Here is the diagram. This block is going to be put together much differently than we have done in the past. Here are 4 blocks set block to block with two different blocks. And here are 4 blocks set block to block with different backgrounds. Patch A is a 2-inch finished square, and we cut 2.5-inch squares. We'll need 4 patches of the dark fabric. And all of these patches have AccuQuilt dies that will cut the shapes you need. Patch B is an 8-inch finished quarter square triangle. We cut 9 1/4-inch square. Cut it in half twice on the diagonal and you'll get 4 patches. We need 4 patches for the background. Patch C is a 2-inch finished half square triangle. Cut 2 7/8-inch squares. Cut them in half once on the diagonal to get 2 patches. For the light color, we'll need 8 patches. For the dark blue, we'll need 4. And for the dark magenta, we'll need 8 patches. Patch D is a 2-inch finished quarter square triangle. We cut 3 1/4-inch squares, cut them in half twice on the diagonal, and we get 4 patches. We need 16 patches of this light color. And finally, patch E is a 4-inch finished square on point. We cut 1 square that's 3 3/8 inches. And we just need 1 patch. These are the fabrics I've chosen. These are the squares in the corner. These are the background triangles. These are for the flying geese, the geese portion of the flying geese. And these are for the sky portion of most of the flying geese. This is the square on point. We're going to go step by step and piece these together. For step 1, we're going to sew a light C patch to each of the A patches as shown, like this. Here is the A patch, here is the light C patch. And I always look at the picture and lay the pieces out just as the picture shows. And it will look like this. These are the edges you want to line up. So we'll flip this over and match this edge and this edge. And we'll stitch 1/4 inch this way. And do that for all 4 of the patch A's. These are the step 1 units. They're done. We're going to press the seams open, and there's a little nub across here. We'll trim this off even with the top edge. So that's what you have, and do that to the rest of these. Step 2, we're going to sew a light and a magenta C patch as shown. Here is the light C patch, and here is the magenta C patch. Lay them like this. Now let's see how they go. Like this. So remember to match the picture. Flip these over, and since they're the same size and shape, we're going to match all 3 sides and then stitch 1/4 inch. Press your seams open. So we'll make 4 of these. The step 2 units are done and pressed seams open, and you have 2 little nubs to cut off at this tip. And do that for all 4 pieces. Step 3, we're going to sew these 2 units together. Look at the diagram and lay the pieces just like this. Here is the step 1 piece, and we take the step 2 piece, and it goes like this. Makes this sort of pentagon shape. Flip this over, match the seams, and stitch 1/4 inch across the top. Press your seams open. The step 3 units are finished and pressed. They look like little envelopes. There will be some nubs you'll need to trim off, so trim those off. Now we'll put these to the side, and we're going to sew the flying geese units. And here we are in step 4. Going to use the D patches and the remaining C patches. Make 4 each of these flying geese units. That's a total of 8 flying geese. But we will make our 4 of these and 4 of these. Then we take these and stitch them like this. What I do is always start on the right hand side, flip this over, and you're going to match this bottom edge and the side edge. Stitch 1/4 of an inch and press your seam open. Do that for all 8 of these. Then you'll come back on this side, on the left hand side, do the same thing. Flip it over, match the bottom edge and the side, and stitch 1/4 of an inch. Press your seams open and cut off your nubs. After you sew your right side on and you've pressed your piece, you'll have these 2 nubs to cut off and this nub to cut off. And I cut it off even with this side. Like that. And then cut these off. Now everything lies flat when you're ready to stitch the other side. These are really small flying geese, and when I stitch these sides on, I use a scant 1/4 of an inch. That's just slightly smaller than 1/4 of an inch. It just gives you a little more wiggle room. And you'll have some nubs to cut off. You'll have these nubs to cut off at the top and this left-hand side. Now we're ready to put our block together, or start putting it together. So let's look at step 5. We're going to sew the units from steps 3 and 4 together like this. We're going to make 4 of these. We take one of these units, we take a blue flying geese unit, and then another magenta flying geese unit. Stitch these together like this. Press your seams open and make 4 of these. Now we have these 4 units done. We'll take 2 of them and sew them on either side of the E patch. Just like that. Sew the seams, press the seams open. Here are these pressed open. Do that, we'll make 1 of those. The other 2 we're going to sew together like this. This is going to be sewn on this side, and this will be sewn on this side. How you figure this out, this has to be the straight line. This is going to cut the block in half like that, just about. So it doesn't matter which side you start on. You'll take this, flip it over, and you'll want to flip this whole thing over and stitch on this side. Because as you're stitching 1/4 of an inch, you want to make sure that you clear this point here, that you won't cut off that point. So stitch just above that point and this point here. Then stitch your 1/4 of an inch off. Once you do that, press your seam open, then do the same thing to this side, and you'll make 2 of these. Here are the pieces we've done so far. And one tip I have for you is, well, 2 tips. Continue using a scant 1/4 of an inch with this. Before you cut this B patch, which is this big background square, the 9 1/4 inch square, starch the heck out of it, because I think it's going to be easier for you when you put these together. So continue your scant 1/4 of an inch and starch this before you even cut the square, and then cut the square into 4. Stitch these together. So you'll match the seams here, and you'll want to put this on top so you can see where your points are on your flying geese, and then stitch this together. Press your seams open and then stitch the other side. After you're done, put a lot of starch on this block and just starch it out and let it lay flat. It's going to work out pretty good, but the starch just helps it lay flat. There will be some nubs to cut off, and cut those off. And here's the block. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.